Hi, everyone. It's Sarah Otto with the Wisconsin Telecommunicator Emergency Response Task Force. I am the state coordinator. I'm also a third shift dispatch supervisor with Oak Creek, St. Francis, and soon to be South Milwaukee Consolidated Dispatch Center in southeastern Wisconsin. Um, as you know, if you've been following any of our videos, we like to share some brief training segments here and there. Little tips and tricks that we picked up throughout the years or things that are relevant to what our task force members are responsible for in their duties. Today's segment is going to be called Help, which isn't actually an homage to the Beatles song, although that is a great song. Instead, it's what your department would be responsible for if they needed to request assistance from our task force, as well as what they can do to prepare for it in advance and what they can expect during and after the deployment. So how it works is a natural or man-made disaster would occur that would cause the primary PSAP to become strained and overwhelmed, threatening the operation of vital communication links. So breaking this down a little bit further, I wanted to elaborate on what WI-TERT is and it is not able to assist with. So natural disasters are pretty self-explanatory. Your tornadoes, flooding, hurricanes, tidal waves, earthquakes, wildfires, usually stuff with a meteorological or geological cause. There's actually a national risk index designed by FEMA that identifies 18 different natural hazard types, if anybody's interested in finding out more about natural disasters. Man-made disasters, on the other hand, are a little bit more complex to define. They result from human intent, error, or negligence, and they could be things like dam and levee failures, arson, hazmat spills, nuclear accidents, acts of terrorism, incidents of mass violence, train derailments, plane crashes, structural collapses. And while this can stretch the definition of a disaster a little bit, depending on who you ask, TERT has also assisted with some civil disorder incidents in the past, such as the Act 10 budget repair protests in Madison back in 2011. So pre-planned events aren't really our forte. So if you know there's going to be something controversial occurring or something that requires all hands on deck, like the recent RNC in the Milwaukee area, or a big community festival, the funeral of a widely known public figure, an IT outage or server updates, that sort of thing, you really need to have other contingency plans in mind. It's also important to keep in mind the difference between an emergency and a disaster, or basically the overall anticipated mitigation timeframe. So a WI-TERT deployment won't be effective for something that can really be wrapped up in a few hours or even within a couple shifts. If the disaster is something that's going to strain your PSAP for multiple shifts or even days or weeks, TERT is definitely something that can be a beneficial resource. Lastly, please keep in mind that TERT is there to supplement your center, not completely staff it. We're not going to fill in for unseen FMLA events, resignations, or other things that might deplete your staffing levels. So I hope that helps provide a little bit of clarity on what we are and aren't able to assist with. The second step would be to call the 24-hour duty officer at Wisconsin Emergency Management. Let them know what's going on. They'll gather some information and send out an alert to our the state's communications group, which includes WI-TERT, as well as communication unit leaders and other communications related human resources. Information is exchanged on an internal level. We send out an alert to our task force members and their supervisors, work on getting a team put together for you. And once that occurs, we will get back to your liaison at your agency and let them know we're on our way. TERT members are paid by their home agencies, and unlike other mutual aid agreements, the TERT members' home agency is responsible for their liability coverage during their deployment. You're not expected to provide food or lodging, although either or both would be appreciated if offered. We're not going to turn it down. Our members have received training on disaster zone deployments and are aware that there are only options in going somewhere, especially if it's like stricken by a tornado or something like that. Might be sleeping in a cot in a school cafeteria, eating the MREs that they brought with them, and that sort of experience. So we're not looking for, to be treated like a 5-star hotel or anything. Our task force members are experienced dispatchers capable of receiving, processing, dispatching, and monitoring calls for assistance, as well as monitoring and appropriately responding to radio traffic, accurately documenting everything, and performing other miscellaneous office functions. They've also been tasked with working in mobile command posts and acting as runners and scribes on incidents. Some of our members are CommTs and CommLs and have specialty skills with setting up and maintaining radio equipment and other lines of communication. So basically any communications related human service resources that you might need, it's very likely that our task force can be of assistance with that. When you do request assistance, we gather all the information we need regarding the incident, how many task force members you'd like to respond, what sort of environment that they should be prepared to work in, so on and so forth. We can get further information about your PSAP at that time as well, but in the interest of saving time and energy, it really helps for agencies to have filled out and submitted an agency survey in advance of any deployment needs. This survey gathers specific information about types of equipment used in your center and the type of operations you employ. This will help us match up and deploy task force members that have experience with the same or similar software and assignments. If need be, we can learn the ropes, but definitely helps to have someone who's already well-versed just sit down and start working versus maybe having to figure out how to navigate a foreign CAD screen, for example. And then our goal is to have a team of 4 task force members respond to cover each 12-hour operational period in which the assistance is needed. That would be 3 basic team members and a team leader who acts as the primary point of contact between your department's liaison and the requesting at the requesting agency and WI-TERT leadership. That person is basically the on-site supervisor for the team that we have deployed. However, every deployment is different. Perhaps only 1 or 2 TERT members is needed at a time, perhaps 10. It really depends on the incident size and complexity and the needs of the requesting agency. That being said, we all know how chaotic things can be in the midst of a critical incident. So the last thing you want to deal with when requesting mutual aid is to be scrambling to find the resources and equipment necessary for those external entities to be able to do their jobs in the most helpful manner. So it's also highly suggested that you have a TERT informational package set up in advance, or at very least have a list of all of this stuff handy so that you can quickly obtain that and put it together when you have TERT members deployed to your center. If they're going to be filling a position in your dispatch center, do they need to bring their own headset? Is there a generic login that they can use for your CAD software? Where can they find a list of the command codes, call types, local maps, and other items that they'll need in order to give themselves a crash course in your agency's specific operations? That's the sort of things that you'd want to consider ahead of time. We do like to pair our members with someone from your agency as an immediate resource, but considering these things in advance and having a plan in place helps immensely. Additionally, for any TERT deployment, the requesting agency does need to provide a TERT liaison who's responsible for the deployed task force members. So that person would be our primary point of contact there for assignments, access to any supplies that are needed to get the job done, facilities and comfort items like a nearby bathroom, that sort of thing, and any issues that might arise. And lastly, for every deployment, we do compile an after action report. Not only do we gather information from our team members, but the feedback of the requesting agency as well. We want to make sure that our deployment process was handled in a safe, efficient manner and review any lessons learned to improve future deployments. So once the dust settles, we'll reach out to the person who served as the TERT liaison at your agency to interview them on how they felt the process went, and whether they might have any suggestions for improvement in the future. So that's really it in a nutshell. Here is my contact information, as well as the contact information for those serving as regional coordinators, and on the steering committee for the task force. Please feel free to contact any of us at any time. Please also like and follow us on Facebook and our YouTube channel pages to stay apprised of any updates, new training videos we post, or other dispatch related information that we share. Thanks for taking the time to join me in this training segment, and let me know if you have any questions or want some further information. Enjoy your summer. Bye.